This week in cars, two new convertibles get introduced this week. We have the Emperor of OnStar with us, and say hello to my little friend. Welcome to This Week in Cars. I'm Jonathan Ramsey. My co-host is back with me, Crystal Stranger, and we have a special guest, Chris Preuss, the man who is the president of OnStar. President, correct?
Yes.
Okay. He's a man of few words as well, so we're going to try and get as much out of him as we can. And Crystal, thank you for coming back. It's great for you to be here.
I'm so glad to be back here with you again, Jonathan. I missed you last week.
Stop it. So we normally start the show off with news. Today we're going to start with car campaigns because OnStar's here. So car campaigns are... Car makers are always trying to get your attention, and frankly, you don't pay enough attention. So we give them a longer format chance to say, hey, this is what we're doing, what we've got going on. This week it's going to be OnStar, and we're going to start with two commercials to tell you what OnStar can do. Let's run the clips.
We need directions to go to
Pear Blossom Highway?
it's just outside of Lancaster.
Sure, I can download directions for you now.
We got it.
Thank you very much.
OnStar ready.
Call home.
Hi, Daddy.
I'm on my way.
Send to car and done.
You have one safe destination. Delon Beach. Would you like those directions now?
Yes, I would.
Go north on Route 1.
Check it out. I can see everything that's going on with the car. Here's the gas level. I can check on the oil. I can unlock it from anywhere.
I received a signal there was a crash.
Some guy just cut me off.
I'll get an ambulance to you right away.
Looks like our check engine light's on. Can you do a diagnostic check for us?
Everything's fine. Oh, but you've got a loose gas cap.
Safely connecting you in ways you never thought possible. OnStar. Live on.
Can we see the other commercial as well?
It's me. I'm just leaving the office right now.
Girls' weekend.
Hey, thanks so much for swapping cars with me, by the way.
No problem.
Is there gas in it?
Yeah, you got plenty.
And the oil?
Oil is good to go.
Tires?
All 4 tires full of air.
Only if I can get the keys.
I can start it for you, too.
Okay, now you're just showing off.
The OnStar MyLink app. Safely connecting you in ways you never thought possible. Live on.
All right, so that's OnStar. Some quick specs, and correct me if I'm wrong. More than 5.5 million subscribers, first telematics service, more than 1 million responses to emergency situations. Someone presses the button every second. That's what...
Dang near.
Okay, so for people who don't know what OnStar is, what would you tell them?
Well, I think most people are familiar by those great radio ads through the years. You know, if somebody gets into trouble, a crash, maybe an emergency in the car, they hit the button or the airbags go off, and we connect them immediately with emergency services. And that's really the core of what OnStar is. It's a telematic service where there's an embedded telematic device in the vehicle, and whenever there's something wrong in the vehicle, we can connect you with emergency personnel, no matter where you are, and GPS location gives you precise destinations. And over 14 years, we've got this very developed system, and we've got first responders and emergency responding associations with us from around the world, and particularly within the paramedic and 911 communities tied to us. So we've kind of built the house on that foundation of safe and secure anywhere you need to be. And that's primarily what people buy OnStar for in their vehicle. But because you have that perpetual connection to the car, you can do other things such as navigation. We do almost 2 million turn-by-turn destination downloads to vehicles a month. We can connect you with concierge services. We can help you get directions to points of interest and places you want to go, because we have what we call the killer app. In this high-tech world of ours, we go to the most integrated, sophisticated, complicated, most technical device on the planet, a live human being.
Yeah.
So that's the live advisors who connect people. And so that's the core service. And now we're starting to really build out technology in the vehicle around that embedded telematic device to do things that people really haven't even thought of yet. And so that's kind of what was behind the campaign, and reorientating people to OnStar in maybe a little bit more of a relevant way, and sort of set the stage for where we're going to be taking this business in the year or two to come.
So you're about to make OnStar sexy. You're now adding the sexy to OnStar.
Yeah, well, come on. I mean, this is, I know sexy is exactly the word, but we're trying to increase, maybe people thought the previous campaign that was always focused on the real life stories was maybe very powerful, but maybe a little dim. That was one thing. Secondly, the world is just changing so fast, and connectivity is really defining people's lives more and more. And in-car vehicle technology is shaping around that. So we've heard all about being able to sync your iPhone when you get into a vehicle and have your media available to you and these types of things. And that's very important. But
that actually leads into kind of my first question, which was that you've come out with beta testing for using Facebook and Twitter and other type of applications in the OnStar system. How is the beta testing coming along?
It's going great. Now, we did this. Some people thought it was shameless marketing trying to contemporize the brand, and okay, maybe there's a little of that in there. But really what we're doing is, anybody who knows what's going on in social media right now, particularly with the millennials, if you go down, I went down to South by Southwest last March, and I just kind of perched on a corner and just watched, and I was just dumbstruck by the numbers of people who are walking into other people, stumbling on curbs, walking into door walls because they were face down on their devices. Now, and it was
of course you have to check in everywhere
you go. You got to check in, and there's and that's a real big issue for the car, right? Because that social need, that social acceptability, and that social responsibility to be connected and respond quickly is what's really driving people to bad decisions in the vehicle. That they're not, you can pass every texting law on the planet, but people who are living in that world are not going to relent on their devices even when they're driving.
Yeah.
So the Facebook app was a way to do that through all audio connectivity in the car through the what we call the Virtual Advisor hands-free calling portal, which we've had for 10 years, and we've looked at the data, and we can actually study, does using that button have a correlation to crash events, because we know when crashes occur. And we found out that not only do they not occur when they're in those calls, they're actually, that group, the test group was actually slightly safer than the control group. So
so right now, this is Ray LaHood, if you're watching, you need to pay attention to this part.
Yeah, because there was some controversy with Ray LaHood about this, correct?
We share the Secretary's concern for doing the right thing by safety. There's no question about that. In this case, though, I think there was a misunderstanding about what we were trying to solve for by doing the application of the Facebook updating through the Virtual Advisor portal, and what the benefit was. And we've explained that to NHTSA, and their people have actually gone and done demos with us and have seen how it works. If we thought for even a second that we would be hurting the cause for safety versus helping it for a brand that was built primarily on safety, we should all be tossed out anyway. So I think it's a very elegant solution to a very complex problem. But I'm telling you, the whole use of devices in the car will be the biggest social imperative that the industry has to solve for since CAFE and fuel economy. There's no question. So we got to take it seriously, and so we're trying to bring technology to solve an issue.
Figuring out how people are going to stay connected in a way that doesn't impede their driving, as you're saying, going to be one of the biggest things.
Absolutely.
To be
and we're seeing it now.
All right.
Right? So they said 6,000 people allegedly were killed or injured in accidents last year using devices. So,
well, okay. Then before we get too far in the future, why don't you show us what OnStar can do now that people might not realize?
Sure. Well, one of the big things about having a perpetual connection to the car, in addition to giving you that gold-plated safety and security experience, is that we can actually talk to the car when the car is dormant. And so when you look at phone apps and the way people are staying connected through smartphones, it was the next logical extension of our brand to be able to let you have more control of your vehicle through a smartphone application. And with the advent of our new Chevrolet Volt, the range extended electric vehicle, we also have the need to program charging and to manage the energy that the car uses and to make sure that you have the charge you need to get where you need to go. So we invented a new phone application interface. I'm going to try to hold this up accurately here for the use of the cameras here. Let me unlock my Droid. Okay, so let's see if we can get this on the screen here. I'm told, there we go. Okay, it's like a little puppet prop here. But what you're seeing here is the an actual vehicle that we have parked outside, and this phone app goes to the back end of OnStar's IT infrastructure. So actually the phone app is talking to the IT infrastructure, which is then talking to the car. So that's important because it's secure. We don't have anything talking straight to the car, which could expose the car potentially to harm from the outside. So with that, I can read any of the information from the vehicle. In this case, we have 62% battery life, 18 miles of EV range left, a total range of 331 miles. We can get other pertinent information. I can see what the gas tank level looks like, with the range extended vehicle, so that we can extend driving beyond electric using gasoline power driving the electric motors. Basic diagnostic information can be had. One of the cool things is we can actually start, unlock, and lock the car remotely. We can contact the OnStar Assistance Center at any time through the app if you needed help. And the really great thing is we're going to actually evolve the app, and we're going to be adding in navigation capabilities. So we will have a Google mapping application interface where you'll actually be able to find the car on a map, be able to send information for destinations to the vehicle directly, so it'll be in your navigation system when you get in the car.
And then your vehicle will drive over and pick you up when you've been drinking at the bar and you ride home, right?
That's absolutely not the case. But, you know, should we be able to develop that, OnStar would certainly be the first to launch it.
I think so. I think you have something to work on
there
here.
You go.
I would buy one of those.
In the commercial, I thought I saw a woman who she sent directions to the car.
It was a lock and unlock command that he had sent to the car, and then he said he could start the car for her. She said, you're showing off. But the Google Maps feature will be in the version 2 of the app, and that's going to come out sometime in the first quarter of next year.
Oh, right. No, well, not in the app. In one of the commercials, a woman
I'm sorry. That was Google Send To. That's right. Right now, what we can do is you can go and set up an account at Google or MapQuest, and if you want to search a destination, you can link that to your OnStar account, and basically you can send it straight to the vehicle, and you can put a voice tag on it, so you can send a number of destinations. You might always want to have like your home destination in there and voice tagged, and you can call it up at any time and get to where you're going.
So does this app then replace the need to have a key for your vehicle at all? I mean, could you just, unlock it, turn it on via the app, get in it and drive?
What it does is that you still need to have the key in the car to actually drive the car away. So even if somebody got a hold of the app, you wouldn't be able to put the car into drive, even if they could find a way to get into it, unless you had the key, which is important from a security standpoint. But also, it's not to be a key fob as much as it is a real good convenience feature. And again, and the other great thing is you can put somebody else's car on your app. So if you have 2 vehicles in the household, so maybe your spouse or significant other had their car on there, they lock themselves out, you can help them out by unlocking the car or getting information to them.
Okay.
Interesting.
And that'll keep evolving.
Yeah.
Now the smart grid stuff's even better. You can set up the charging cycles for your Volt. You can get optimal charging times from your utility company.
This is the expanded.
This is the expanded app. That's right.
For the Volt.
Oh,
that's correct.
So what can you do beyond a normal car that you can do for a Volt?
For a Volt, you'd be able to go in and actually, the car will have a texting platform. So if there's any bad sensor read on the vehicle, like the car's not plugged in and you know you're going to be leaving in the morning, it would text you to go plug in the car, and it would proactively alert you to that fact. You can set up your exact charging cycle times for optimal charging rates, because most of the utilities are going to offer you discounted rates to charge at off-peak hours, so you can set that up through your phone app. The phone app navigation tab's also going to get synced up with a lot of the smart charging locations that are being built around major metro areas for charging stations, and we'll be able to link you that way. And then what's really cool is we're working with social media tools right now to actually put predictive analytics behind how you drive the car and how you live your life. So you'll actually, through social media, your car will actually, we actually have a Volt that will tweet right now. The car actually tweets, and it knows its location, and it starts to pick up patterns of how you live your life.
Okay, now this stuff gets a little frightening.
It's not frightening. This is all in your control.
Facebook thing saying that it's going to check you in automatically when you
go
places.
And that's exactly what happens.
Me.
But what it does, it'll then start to predict how much energy you're going to use. It can start predicting the patterns of where you're going to go, so that you're always in the best position to get what you need. But if the thing can predict where you're driving, so when you get in the car in the morning, it knows you're going to work, but then it sees there's an accident on your normal route to work, it's going to tell you that before you get in the car, and that you should take a different route.
And it will say, I don't think that's a good idea, Dave, if things go wrong.
It'll start giving you investment advice. It'll tell you how you should act in your relationships.
Okay, I'm like, that's fantastic.
That's pretty good.
So where does Sync fit in terms of total functionality now, with maybe the ones that are getting more, Sync and iDrive and that? Where does OnStar fit into that?
They're very
ecosystem?
Different things. I'm glad you bring that up, because I get the whole, are you competing with Sync? No, OnStar is an embedded telematic device geared around acquiring mass amounts of data from the vehicle and making a good consumer use of that data, i.e. Crash detection, or linking you to your dealer, getting you maintenance information, your smart grid, that type of thing. Sync is a way that you can basically get better use of your smartphone when you get into the car, using voice-activated commands and using a Bluetooth connectivity to the device. And certainly we're going to have those same functionalities in GM products. In fact, we'll have a new system coming out next year in Chevrolet, Cadillac, Buick, and GMC products that's going to basically do that. Plus, we'll be married up to what we're doing with the embedded telematics and OnStar. And the two of them together, we think, will be an industry-leading combination of what you can do within the vehicle. But I would argue the infotainment stuff that we're talking about with sync-like features really are going to be a commodity. I mean, you're going to have them. They won't be differentiators. It's just going to be what people expect when they buy a car.
Do you have any
you'll get
idea
it at different levels.
when people will be able to access those?
We'll have those. You can actually today in most of our vehicles through the through a USB connectivity, you can link in an iPhone and other devices and get functionality in the car's infotainment stack. We're going to a Bluetooth connectivity that will be mated to more devices and give you more features starting about this time next year, a little bit about 9 months from now actually. And those will begin proliferating out throughout our lineup. And then
it seems like for Bluetooth for like headsets and that kind of stuff, or Bluetooth for phones.
Bluetooth, where it's actually a stereo Bluetooth connection, where the actual media on the vehicle on the device will be able to replicate itself within the vehicle environment. So think about being able to run apps like Pandora or Stitcher and Slacker and those types of things, as well as being able to get access to all of your media on the device and have it play in the.
Okay, so we have time for maybe 2 more questions. She's going to have a hard one, and I'll have an easy one after that for dessert.
Okay.
Okay.
You mentioned before that it's a fully integrated box within the system. I did some very quick research online and found that there's lots of people who like to disable that for concerns of privacy or whatever. Couldn't thieves also very easily disable that and then steal someone's car?
As far as
OnStar, I mean, doesn't that kind of?
You can disable any device, and I mean, if a professional thief wants a vehicle, they're going to get it no matter what. I mean, usually they'll just pull up a flatbed truck, pop it up there, and by the time anybody's figured anything out, they're going to dismantle it. I think more than 80% of cars that are stolen are recovered, and the GPS location in OnStar helps to do that. And
80% of cars with OnStar.
80% in general actually recovered, and it's very few that actually disappear and are never gone. But it's usually people steal a car for basic reasons, or they're going to just strip it for what they want to get out of it. So no system is foolproof. I mean, we would never purport that OnStar is sort of a fail-safe stolen vehicle recovery, but we have the advantages that others can't get around, such as stolen vehicle slowdown. So if you're in a high-speed chase, there's been a carjacking, we can actually get the police to interact and stop the car using OnStar. If the car has been compromised, we actually disable all the ignition capability. Obviously, that doesn't stop a thief from parting down a car, but you can't drive it away once it's gone. So.
And no one else has these kinds of things. This is OnStar.
OnStar is an embedded OEM event.
Okay.
Now, who has access to do that? I mean, could the ex-wife who is mad at her husband call up and get his car shut off for that kind of thing?
No, it's only under law enforcement guided incidents
so
where we have a
confirmed stolen in order to be able to do that.
Look, the privacy thing comes up a lot with OnStar. I would just say this: people wish that if everybody was as tough on privacy as we are, the world would be a much more private place. I mean, we take that as our number one most significant priority.
Okay.
We do have a lot of data, but there's a lot of stuff we purposely don't know, and we protect privacy tenaciously.
That's really great to hear.
So 2 quick questions from our stream. How does it compare to LoJack?
LoJack is a different type of a device. Now, LoJack embeds several different GPS location devices within the vehicle, and it's hardened that way, and they're hidden all over the place. So the LoJack would be a much higher level stolen vehicle recovery capability. But LoJack's got the same challenge that a lot of the other ones do, and that is basically professional thieves work so fast, and once they put the vehicle on a flatbed and it's not been alerted that it's been broken into or stolen, they get it in a position to where they dismantle things so fast it's done in a matter of minutes. So you can find the remnants, but you don't usually get the things. But no systems fail, but LoJack would be, I'd say, more of a hardened system specifically for stolen vehicles.
Got it. All right. So very last question, since we're out of time. Is there anywhere for people to sort of keep up online with what's happening with OnStar? Toyota, Lexus has Inform, and online portals where you can do other things outside of OnStar being in your car. Is there anywhere somewhere can?
Two ways. Obviously at OnStar.com, we have our Facebook page, which most of our owners are connected through and share their stories and information. And then we've just launched a new service with the Volt called myvolt.com, where you have total access to all the vehicle controls, your social media networking tools, so you can share all your information on how you're using energy. And that portal is actually going to become pretty common for all of the OnStar GM equipped products going forward sometime next year. So we're going to be enhancing that capability quite a bit.
Excellent.
Perfect. Well, Mr. Preuss, excuse me. Thank you very much for coming by.
Thanks for having me today. It's great being with you
Thanks
guys.
so much. It's been a pleasure getting to
Great.
know you. So I'm glad to have you here.
Thanks so much.
So we have a full slate of news now. So what we're going to do is get right into it. The LA Auto Show is coming up in a couple of days, and 2 big convertibles will be coming out, and one of them is
the Chevy Camaro.
Yeah. We have a picture of it.
The Chevy Camaro has been 3 years waiting, and I think this is just one of the most beautiful cars we've seen in a long time.
You like this?
I like this. It has a 312 horsepower V6 and a 426 horsepower V8. The sales for it are going to begin in March of 2011, or I think some of them they say are going to be available in February as well. And the vehicle will be priced around $30,000. One of the big pieces of news, of course, of this is that it was broken again on Facebook, which is always
that's right.
exciting.
Yeah. Now, well, you were saying you like this car.
I like this because I think it kind of captures the spirit of the old convertibles, the ones that you had back in the 60s and 70s.
Right.
That really, it has that style, that flavor to it, where it doesn't feel like they just took the regular Camaro and cut the roof off.
Okay.
It feels like they actually kind of designed a car to look like a convertible. Like it should be something unique, its own piece of automotive lovely history together.
Sculpture.
Yeah,
and
sculpture.
So
exactly.
this would be as a classic muscle car buff. This would be a convertible you could drive, a modern convertible that you could drive.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I think it's very cute. I think it's the cutest of the of the modern convertibles that have come out looking like the old ones.
Okay, now a convertible you wouldn't want is something that I call, well, I've nicknamed the Cross Beast. It is actually a Nissan Murano convertible. We have a picture of it here, and they also show this off on Facebook. It is a Nissan Murano with no top. It is the first ever all-wheel drive crossover convertible, which probably makes you think it's the pony I always wanted, but it's a crossover that's convertible. And I think it's, there's a bit of Frankenstein in this. I'll admit it's not the prettiest thing in the world, but it's a lot better than what I expected it to look like, and what you might have thought it would look like.
I think it's ugly. You mentioned earlier you thought this was going to be a girl car, and I can't picture any of my girlfriends riding in that thing.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, my girlfriends normally, when they'll buy a convertible, they want something sleek and sexy that they look hot cruising around in.
And you don't think that's either sleek or sexy or hot?
No.
Okay.
Not really.
I agree. I look at this and I go, it reminds me of the PT Cruiser convertible.
It does.
And which is, just a big chunky thing that you can put the top down.
Which I don't think did very well. I never saw very many of them on the road anyway.
Well, not outside of rental fleets, but I don't think Nissan wants to sell that many of these. I think it's for people who want a convertible. The question is, who wants this? We're going to find out if there's anyone there. But we're going to see it at the LA Auto Show in a couple of days. Also coming to the LA Auto Show is the Range Rover Evoque, the 5-door version. So they introduced the 2-door back in Paris, and now they brought the 5-door to the LA Auto Show. It has the same dimensions except for the height. It's about an inch and a bit taller to make more room in the back, but all the rakish you love with more room, and we have a video of that in motion because that might sell you on it. Can we play the clip? So it comes in all-wheel drive and front-wheel drive. It'll have the 4-liter EcoBoost, the turbocharged Ford motor that's coming in the 2011 Explorer with 240 horsepower, and it's going to be around 30,000 pounds. So we have no idea what the pricing will be on the Evoque here with either model, but it's not going to be that cheap, but it's in this space where you've got sort of Mini growing up and making these bigger cars, and then you've got Range Rover getting smaller, and like they're going to meet in some, where the X1 is now or X3. But it's a good-looking car, and I think it'll do well. It's just I wonder where's it all going to end. And they say there's going to be a smaller one, an even smaller car than the Evoque coming.
Well, I think it's kind of funny policy to shrink a car way down and then add 2 more doors to it and make it bigger.
That's you think. I'm sorry. You think it's sillier to make a car smaller?
Well, no, they make it smaller, and then they say, "Oh, we should make it a little bigger."
Well,
later.
Well, Mini says, "Why don't we people who want a Mini? We got 2 doors. Let's add some more." Like I said, I think you've got the big folks coming down, the small folks eating big, and it's like where they're all trying to get everyone, and that's what I wonder about. Was it all going to end up?
Exactly. Everyone in the automotive world is trying to win every customer right now.
Exactly.
I don't know how that's going to work out for them. It'll be interesting to watch, that's for sure.
And speaking of who else is getting smaller, Lincoln.
Lincoln, they're not getting smaller. They're making 7 new vehicles, all new vehicles.
Well, they've got a C-segment vehicle coming out.
Well, they have a C-segment
Their
vehicle.
first ever?
Yeah, it's Ford Focus and Honda Civic car. I don't know about that.
You don't know about that? Well, so here, they brought this concept, we have a picture of it, the Concept C to Detroit in 2009. And it's a dinky, cute little thing. They haven't said anything about making that, but they're going to be making a small car.
Well, I hope Lincoln goes back to making the bigger cars again, because those are the Lincolns I like, and the ones, my mom had a Lincoln forever and drove it and loved that car, and she had a Lincoln Town Car and could never find anything else that quite fit her for space and everything, because the newer town cars that they started making, they made them a lot smaller. The roof lines were lower, and my stepfather's like 6'5", so he doesn't like being in cars like that. And
gotcha.
My mom doesn't like climbing up into SUVs, so the Lincoln was like the perfect car.
And you were saying that
they've gotten rid of these really big model Lincolns now,
right?
And instead they have smaller and smaller ones, and I think it's losing its differentiation from other Ford vehicles. If they keep going that route, why even keep Lincoln around? I mean, they're going to wind up killing the brand, and it'll just be the next one that they wind up dying off.
What they're saying is they're going to have 6 new Lincoln exclusive motors. They've got the luxury push, the retractable glass roofs, active damping,
Well, Lincoln engineering has always been really good. Every Lincoln I've been in, driven and stuff, I mean, their engines are really good, really efficient normally compared to other vehicles of the size and class, and they say they're even going more so now. I mean, Ford really is on there.
That's right, with their class-leading emissions.
Yeah.
But you don't think, and that doesn't sell you, or because a lot of Lincoln dealers and probably Lincoln customers, like your mother, want to know what's going to happen. Like Ford wanted dealers to spend $1.5 million to up to $1.5 million to upgrade their dealerships, and dealers said, "Show us what you've got." And I think this is Ford saying, "Hey, we do have great things coming." But this isn't so great to you.
I think they're losing their core demographic of these older people who want the comfort, reliability, with still having the power and the luxury, and they're going to wind up losing that market to companies like Hyundai that is coming out with big cars all of a sudden.
I think, I think Lincoln wants to lose a bit of that market in terms of the stuff that's coming out with, just from a perception standpoint. Like they don't want to be known anymore as the old folks car. The question is,
why? It's sold them a lot of cars over the years.
Certainly when they were a lot old, but they're all going to die eventually, and some will have
now there's a whole new baby boomer group that's getting to be that age,
Well.
And a lot of them are growing into liking that kind of cars. Like my mom, she was the hippie in the 60s.
And she actually went to Cadillac. Generation. She went to Cadillac now.
She bought a Cadillac now.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, went to GM. But Lincoln's got these plans, hopefully. I think for me, with the retractable glass roofs, active noise control, it sounds like they really want to go luxury. Like this is now Lincoln saying, Lexus always says Buick always says we're fighting Lexus. This sounds like Lincoln finally saying, all right, we're going to take European luxury seriously.
Yeah. Well,
this might be the way.
that'd be nice if they took on some of Mercedes and Audi, that kind of.
You are not convinced at all. No, it's okay. It's okay. 2 years. In 2 years, we'll look back and look at it and say.
We'll look back at it in 2 years, and hopefully I'll be wrong. And they'll have done their marketing campaign well and reach the market they wanted.
Coming a little sooner than 2 years is another electric vehicle, a small car called the Mitsubishi i-MiEV. Now, this is a Japanese domestic market vehicle that Mitsubishi has been saying they're going to bring over here, and they finally have in full electric guise. This is it. Now, I dig the i-MiEV, the electric i-MiEV, which, sorry, is the MiEV and the i-MiEV. The electric one is the i-MiEV. So I dig it because I drove it, the Japanese version. It was cute. It was like Hello Kitty in a car. It was peppy. It did everything you wanted to do, and it was electric. But with this one,
I don't think this one's so cute.
Well, to make it ready for American audiences and safety regulations, they had to put that. One guy called it an underbite. It's about a foot longer. It's 4 inches, a little over 4 inches wider, and a hair taller.
A lot of that was bumpers. You were saying, a safety requirements.
Exactly. All that stuff up front is what they added to it, and it's going to be less than 30 grand. That's before the government rebate. So, like by comparison, the Nissan Leaf is 32 and change.
Yeah.
You get the $7,500 rebate. Then you got to buy a $2,000 charger, but the government will give you, a $2,200 charger. The government will give you $2 grand on that. But so it's 26 grand. But if you're spending the same money, would you get a Leaf versus the i-MiEV? i-MiEV has 63 horsepower. A range of 75 to 100 miles. The Leaf says 100 miles, and people have gone further. I hope it does well. I mean, I like Mitsubishi. I like this car.
Yeah.
I don't know if this one will get lost in translation like so many others. And I'd love to stick with that. However, time is flying. So let's get into the next bit.
On the completely opposite end of the spectrum from the electric vehicles, we have Mercedes taking on the BMW M3 finally with their C-Class coupe, the AMG. And this is pretty exciting, the AMG, because it has a number of engines. It has a 4.7-liter twin-turbo V8 with 400 horsepower or a 5.5-liter twin-turbo V8 with 451 horsepower. The current M3 makes 414 horsepower. So,
I think it's cool that there's finally a car to directly challenge the M3 from one of the other German makers. I mean, those two engines are the ones that they're rumoring because there'll be
yes, of course,
the C63 AMG and then a Black Series that they're talking about making, which would have the 6.2. Yeah, that was the picture we had. That's and that would be the ultimate sort of C-Class coupe. And I hope that it only comes in automatic because it's Mercedes, but the transmission in the regular C63 AMG is awesome. I mean, it's a phenomenal car.
Yeah. So
I hope this can finally take the fight to the M3.
I hope so too. This is a very sexy little car they're coming out with.
Okay, well, we have another winner for Crystal for the show. Yeah. I think we're tied now for winners and losers. A car slightly slower from Mercedes that's coming is the CLS Shooting Brake. So Mercedes just introduced the CLS sedan. That's this car at Paris last year. And what they're going to do is turn it into that car. This car was introduced at Frankfurt about 2 years ago, and it's essentially the wagon version of the CLS. It'll have the same engines, the same options, same AMG version, and I think it's gorgeous. But don't let me tell you about it. We have a clip of Mercedes who will tell you all about what to expect. Can we play that?
It premiered at Auto China 2010, the concept shooting brake. Now, Mercedes-Benz has announced its decision to series produce the vehicle in Sindelfingen, Germany. The launch of the sporty estate version CLS shooting brake will be in 2012. With this, Mercedes is committed to the further development of the coupe. A success story. After all, the first generation of the CLS already convinced over 170,000 buyers worldwide. And the new CLS has just been honored as the best newcomer by Germany's press and public.
That is your CLS Shooting Brake, as they're going to call it. Very English of them. And what's also coming, though?
Next coming up, we also have Lamborghini making an SUV. They've joined these other crazy luxury car companies like Alfa Romeo and Aston Martin and Maserati to be producing their own SUV as well.
Yeah.
Pretty interesting. I believe they made one for the Italian military a few years ago. That was the LM002.
Yeah, they stopped making that a few years ago. The LM002, this behemoth that we have a picture of, and it was a cool cult vehicle. Lamborghini's history. Its origins are in tractors.
Yeah.
This had the engine from the
Countach, the V12 from the Countach.
Yeah. Just an absurd vehicle.
Yeah.
Far more absurd than any Hummer ever was.
Oh, absolutely.
Was this thing.
Absolutely.
But they're going to make something that's just as absurd, but a different kind of.
A small absurd one now, because it's based on the Audi Q5 or the Porsche Cayenne. So.
But it's got the V10 from the Gallardo, so it's got it'll have 500 some horsepower and do 0 to 60 in under 4 seconds.
Yeah.
Which
that's insane.
Yeah.
That's insane. I mean, that's as fast as the C63, black
exactly,
Mercedes.
Exactly. There's no reason.
Insane.
If you need to go that fast in an SUV, maybe you don't need an SUV. Maybe especially a 3-door SUV, which is what they're saying this will be. But
sounds like something you could roll pretty easy too. You wonder what kind of traction control they put on.
They're going to have massive traction control systems on this thing.
That's dangerous.
And speaking of traction control, what else we'll need is traction control is the Sesto Elemento. So this was a vehicle that Lamborghini introduced at the Paris Auto Show as well. Lots of carbon fiber, lots of composite, an interior that is frightening. It weighs 2,900 pounds, 2,200 pounds, 2,200 pounds. It has also the V10 in it, 560 some horsepower. They say they're going to make 7 to 10 of them, and they're going to run something like $3.4 million, 2.4 million euros.
That sounds insane though. It doesn't go 0 to 60 in 2.5 seconds.
2.5 seconds, 0 to 60.
It's insane, yes.
And Lamborghini's not making any cars now. They made the last Murcielago. They've got the Gallardo now, but the Mercy line is done, so they're gearing up for stuff, and these are sort of announcements they can make while they get things ready. But it's nutty, is what I would call this.
It is nutty. Before I get into the next one, I just wanted to remind everyone out there that we have a Ustream chat room that also is going on, that you can go in there, talk to other people. We can see your messages up here if you have questions or whatever. It's ustream.tv/thisweekend. And next up, we have Audi wanting to make the Quattro concept again. This was a car, if you remember, was here in the U.S. from 1983 to 1986. Little lightweight, pretty much a rally car right from the factory. All-wheel drive,
for customers.
2,900 pounds.
Yeah.
And I love this new concept because they've created this beautiful body but kept the spirit of this vehicle alive. It'll have the same 5-cylinder engine. It's going to have the same weight, they were saying, the 2,900 pounds.
Right.
It's just classic.
The classic,
within a beautiful new.
The classic. We have a picture of this. So this is the original Audi Quattro that was on sale
the new
in
one's
the
a lot
US.
prettier, but it's the same spirit.
Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness! And this is what made the Audi Quattro famous.
Of course.
Doing that back when rallying was monstrous. And it is. They spent 3 years putting together this concept. The concept does 100 miles an hour, which is unusual.
That's unbelievable that a concept car would go 100 miles an hour. They normally go like 30 at best. They're rattling apart.
And they're trying to decide how they want to do it. The head of Volkswagen wants to do high volume, lower price car. The head of Audi wants to do a low volume, high price thing. Like I said, I think we're going to see this somewhere, somehow. But how is it going to be? And is it
would be hard for them to bring it to the U.S., especially if the 2,900 pounds of the American safety standards.
But a 2,900 pound car from Audi with a turbo 5-cylinder
that sounds so much
would be,
fun.
would
Yes.
be delicious, is
Yes.
what I call that.
Yes.
Taking a break from news for a moment, we're going to hit our strap-in section. Strap-in is where we talk about the future of the automobile. Not tomorrow, not next year, way, way, way in the future. And we're going to touch on something that actually has come up over the past few weeks, and this is the RoboCop future of compliance, is what I have called it. Last week with Lieberman, we discussed something called the asset camera, which can nail you for 5 offenses: tailgating, driving too fast for conditions, if your insurance is out of date, speeding, and your seatbelt on.
Yeah, I saw
and
that.
then Europe has this e-call that they're working out, which is meant for safety, but it's this. It's a system, essentially a federally mandated OnStar, where they'll use your black box, and if you get an accident, it will call the police and transmit your GPS coordinates. And even they're talking about it, communicating your VIN number and other details about the car, who's got seatbelts on, so they know. And then the Russians have come up, this is actually last year, a company called Laser Systems created a thing called the Alco laser. That's right. So the Alco laser, at a distance of 65 feet from your car at 75 miles an hour, the Alco laser can detect 1 part per million of alcohol just in your car cabin.
I think that's just ridiculous. I don't know how
outrageous.
it can possibly do that. It's like, I guess they're mounted like 30 meters above the road.
They can put it that high up, but the laser, this company also builds lasers that detect sort of explosive residues.
Oh.
So the laser can, chromospectrometry,
So
whatever
you
it
can
is.
install them for terrorist protection and then actually be pulling over DUI drivers.
You could get terrorists and drunkards, who are really the same thing, at the same time. That was a joke. So, but I mean, the idea that they're now going to have lasers, or that this thing is possible, they're still just on the show circuit. So nothing's been sold, except to some Russian authorities, they say. But the idea that these increasing ways, sort of coming at it from the backside. So before I'd said the Terminator was one guy who came and had a chip that they worked from there. We're sort of building all this software out that one day we might realize, hey, now that we've got it all, what can you do?
It starts to be kind of frightening when you think that every vehicle soon will have something that can be remotely disabled if someone creates the right kind of software and hacks this.
Yeah. And I think sort of hacking, just even watching and knowing, and the one of the arguments is that if people realized how much information they have about you already, but just the fact that there are these things, it's like now we're not going to worry about you not knowing.
But Chris Preuss just reassured us that they, that OnStar at least.
So if GM had made it, it would be okay. If GM had made it, it would be okay. But I don't know about the Russians. To racing.
Onward to racing. We have the Australian V8 Supercars becoming a FIA-approved international series, which is exciting.
Aussie V8s.
I love them. They're great, yes. So, yes, they've recognized it as an international racing series now.
The FIA has.
Currently, there's 2 races a year that are outside of Australia, in New Zealand and Abu Dhabi. And they have 5 other places they're considering creating 4 new races, I guess, which are Singapore, Korea, India, Hong Kong, and South Africa.
And if you want to know what Aussie V8 racing looks like, we have a clip. Can we play it?
Just incredible racing. At maximum speed. I have not seen a better closing stage of a race for a long time. As Van Gisbergen has a little look. The way he's going, it's Van Gisbergen all or nothing.
Mate, just in case you weren't sure.
This is the last lap. There will be a dive. This really is an all-or-nothing approach from the young Kiwi. And the only thing you can do is give him a serve. He'll bump him here. He'll bump him, run him wide. He can't do it. Whincup going to hold on. Whincup has fought off an extraordinary battle, and he takes victory in a race to remember. What a race.
Great work, boys. Sorry, boys, I just couldn't pull it up there into that chicane, otherwise you would have to give it up, but fantastic race.
So NASCAR meets IndyCar, beautiful, beautiful racing.
Absolutely.
And going left and right, not to bash NASCAR, because I like NASCAR, and we actually have a NASCAR
we'll get into
story
that in a minute,
up.
how much more we like NASCAR as of today.
There you go. But first, Chevy in IndyCar. So Chevy is returning to IndyCar with Penske. They were in the series twice before, 1986 to 93, and then 2002 to 2005 they supplied V8s, won drivers' championships, 4 Indy 500s, I think 7 drivers' championships, and 104 races. They're getting back into it in 2012, not next year, with an aluminum block and head V6, 2.4 liter. And it's being developed with Ilmor, who is an engineering firm that was in F1 and still does work in IndyCar as well. And this is the new team announcing, hey, look at us, is Roger Penske on the left. We have a photo of that. Roger Penske, in the middle, and Hilo Castroneves, and then the vice chairman of GM. But it's just good to see OEMs going back to racing because of all of them cutting back their programs for all those years.
Oh, I agree. It's very exciting after all these cutbacks the last bunch of years that the factories are getting back involved in the racing game and using it for the research and development things that it should be a platform for.
Yeah. And speaking of racing, you don't need to be an IndyCar racer to go to the track. You can take your Ford Boss Mustang.
Oh, this is so exciting. This is the most exciting thing in a while. Ford's new Boss 302 Mustang comes with track keys, where they actually give you 2 different keys that come with the vehicle. And I believe we have a picture of this one here. It's anyway, the track key retunes the engine for the track with over 200 engine management parameters that are changed. And Ford, of course, warns it's not for use on the street.
Of course not. I would never use my track key on the street.
I don't think I know anybody who wouldn't, the moment they got out of the dealership, put the track key in and go peeling out down the street.
So, deceleration is tuned to save the brakes. They've got, what do they say? Any system that will hamper race performance has been taken out of the engine management system, which is great.
Like everything. That's great.
And we have a clip of the Boss Mustang. Can we play that?
So, the track key also. Are we not on?
Can you hear?
Okay.
And
so also the track key model has a 2-stage launch control.
Oh right, yeah, like the old Cobra Jet.
Yeah, that's fun. And one of the other parts about it is it comes with a free track day at Miller Motorsports Park in Tulia, Utah.
You have to get to Miller Motorsports Park and buy your Ford, but when you do, they will teach you how to use this not safe for the street track key.
On a very nice road race course that was built, I believe, for a World Superbike competition.
Right.
So, yeah.
And now, to say good things about NASCAR.
Oh, yes. Travis Pastrana is leaving rally racing and going to NASCAR. He's going to give up all those crazy rally roads to just make left turns now. But
he left Subaru, and he's actually not just going to be a NASCAR racer. He has bought into a team with Michael Waltrip, so it's Pastrana Waltrip Racing. And he made can we show a picture of this? We have his pace notes. You know, rally drivers have pace notes, and these are his, which involve all left turns, of course. But we also have a clip of Pastrana introducing his new his effort next year. He'll be in 7 NASCAR races, and let's see that clip.
Hilarious.
We got this. Come on. Hey, let me out. Let's go race. You sure you want to do this? Hells yeah. All right. See you soon. Well, I guess we're going racing. Let that dog eat.
So, and I will say for NASCAR, you know, Vegas was the place you went as a performer when your career was over. You know, Prince is playing Vegas now, or Branson, Missouri, and if you,
or even worse on the small casino circuit now.
Yeah, exactly. But
all the Indian gaming casino
oh
circuits.
God, yeah. MLS is where you went when your European soccer career was done. But NASCAR is getting drivers in their prime, still very good drivers who are moving over. Like they're not sort of washed up and moving in.
Oh yeah.
And it's like NASCAR. NASCAR is bringing DTM to America. Like, who would have guessed that NASCAR would be the one to
it's
globalize.
amazing. I mean, NASCAR is just exploding. It's going to be one of the biggest sports in the world, I think, in a few years. It has that potential.
You think so?
Well, because they're bringing people in from all over the world. They're trying to, and they're breaking away from just the left turn circuit. They're adding more road courses, it sounds like, with the DTM circuit coming in.
I mean, DTM will race on. Well, I guess we'll see where they race. I have a feeling NASCAR will say
I don't know what they're going to do
wants to keep
about
their
it
base, and expand. But I mean, I think it's cool that NASCAR is now sort of leading this charge for mixing racing drivers from different professions.
Well, I think part of that is that NASCAR doesn't have a lot of really champions right at the moment. It seems like that are like
that are
there's no like
elsewhere?
Dale Earnhardt anymore in the so it kind of is leaving this opening for like the new king of NASCAR to come in, and everyone is coming in from other sports and going for the title of king.
Could the new king of if the new king of NASCAR came from F1, if Juan Pablo or Danica, whenever she decides to win a race, or if Travis Pastrana becomes champion next year, what do you think that would do for NASCAR not having a homegrown NASCAR king? Would it change the complexion? What do you think it would open it up at all?
I would hope so. I think it's about time.
I agree with you there. So we don't have much time left. So what we're going to do is jump to a section we call Junk in the Trunk, which is the little bits of news that aren't quite news, but we'd still like you to know about them. So we're going to start with the new London bus, which looks like this. There you go. Boris Johnson, Mayor of London, made this one of his huge campaign pledges. So next time you go to London and check things out, that is what you'd be looking for. Seats for 62 people, standing room 25 more, but cleaner, greener, meaner, and they'll be hitting the roads next year. 5 of them will, and then there'll be more of them the year after that in 2012.
I guess that's because it's owner-operators in London who operate the vehicles, so he has to kind of sell them on the idea of upgrading to these vehicles.
They've got
their fleets.
I mean, it's a good-looking bus. Like, how could you not? I'd buy one of those if I had somewhere to be.
Yeah, but it's not. I mean, the classic London double-deckers are so iconic.
Well, like the Barracuda, they're never going to bring that back. It's exactly. Gran Turismo 5 going on sale November 24th. Now, the only reason we even talk about this exactly is because we love every week we have a different date for GT5 going on sale. That's it. That's all we have on that one. This one, fastest yellow and red. Now, this is old, but I was introduced to it again last week, and I dig it a lot, and I want to share it with the world. It's a clip of a guy in Japan who made this video. There you go.
Aww.
There's a few more minutes of that. Check it out. Well worth it. Fastest yellow and red.
Really fun little video we have there. Be sure to hit us up on Twitter at TWI Cars. And also, you were able to see us here today thanks to Storm On Demand. Storm On Demand for all your cloud computing needs. It's what lets all the This Weekend shows be on the air.
So speaking of getting in touch with us, this week is the LA Auto Show. We will be there. Actually, our events start tomorrow, but we'll be twittering from the floor all the show cars, the Cross Beast, the new Camaro, a Rolls Royce, the new VW, lots and lots of things. Join us on Twitter, at TWI Cars. We'll also have a Facebook page as well. Next week, when we come back, we will tell you what this is, my little friend, because they're back. He's the cutest thing in the world, and we were going to have a lot of those next week. And then if you want to get to us personally, we are at jrr@thisweekend.com and
Crystal at thisweekend.com.
So we'll be back next week with another big show full of a week's news of cars. Till then, take care.